Hey guys, Operator7 here. Welcome to my top 4 list of useful attachments for Airsoft. Again, this is a very personal list, so it's my personal opinion. And I think from my experience of playing Airsoft, these come really in hand when I play Airsoft. It depends, of course, on the game, on the site, but I think these are really useful and they're not just for show. So starting off, I think one of the top ones is definitely this. In particular, not just a suppressor. I think a suppressor itself can be quite useful, not just for the looks, but also in case you want to extend the length of your inner barrel. It does cover the inner barrel. It protects the inner barrel, and having a longer inner barrel, what it does, it adds a little bit of FPS. It also could add a bit more accuracy and a bit, as I mentioned, a bit more power. So I think that they have that one specific positive feature, so that's the benefit. But however, this one in particular has another couple of really good benefits for me, because I play indoors and night games as well whenever I can. What this one has, as you can see, it has a tracer unit incorporated, so it will light up those BBs, and I can see the BBs indoors when it's really dark, or I can see them in night games. So really good, and it's really cool as well. And then last but not least, probably the most important function of this suppressor is the fact that it has a chrono incorporated. So I can plug it into my phone via Bluetooth, and I can measure how many rounds per second, but most importantly, how many feet per second. And then before any games, I can check if my gun is site legal by comparing on their website what my gun is doing in terms of FPS. And usually it's spot on with their chronos. It works really well. I totally recommend one of these. So that's probably one of the most useful attachments that you can get for Airsoft. Now let's move on to the second one, which are of course probably a contentious one. Not everyone feels the same about it. It is a red dot or a scope. So as you can see here on my APC9K, I've got my Vism from NC Star. It's got a really nice and wide picture there. It's got a really sharp red dot. I think if you zero in your gun well enough, it does help land those shots with much more confidence. It does help you in short to mid-range engagements. I really like it. But it doesn't stop there, I think, as well, because if you have let's say if you have a DMR, such as I have here, my Rapax M4, let me put it in picture. If you have a DMR, I think for instance, a first focal plane scope, they're really helpful. Why? Because you can basically magnify it from anywhere from 1 times to 6 times. So it depends on how far your target is. You can check if those BBs are landing on target or not, and then you can make any corrections, especially, well, when it's a bit longer range and you can't really see those BBs because, bad eyesight or just because it's a bit dark. Tell you what, believe me, if your scope is as clear as this one, you'll be able to see them a lot better. I do recommend a couple of brands. One is Victopics, specifically this one, and the other one is Vision King. So I really like those scopes. I think they are amazing. They have a very clear lens, and I think it does help me in my Airsoft games, especially for longer engagements. Right, so that's the first one was suppressors. Second one, red dots, and in the same category, I would say scopes. Now let's move on to the next one, which is foregrips. I think a foregrip such as this one can really help because it's ergonomics, and the better you grip your gun, the better you will kind of engage with your targets, the better you will feel, the more confident you feel. And I think especially, for instance, such a long gun such as this one, I think it does help you to aim down your sights and kind of engage with the targets. I think the ergonomics are a really important aspect of any kind of rifle. So this does help me a lot, to stabilize the gun, to aim properly, to engage with those targets, to maneuver the gun. And I tell you what, I use, for instance, there's some people who prefer AFG, so angled foregrips. I think I like this one quite a lot. Some guns, for instance, even smaller guns, you can use them. I personally don't use them in shorter CQB, such as SMGs. I don't use them, but they can be really helpful. I think, again, it's very personal to you. You should try your foregrips, but I think the more comfortable you feel holding your gun, the best it is. Again, a very useful addition to your airsoft attachments. And then finally, last but not least, let me get again the APC 9K here in the picture. Take this one out. It's the basically it's right in the picture. It's flashlights. Flashlights can be really, really useful because, especially in night games and CQB games, because they will help you kind of blind people a little bit, but also so that you can see where you're going, you don't fall, and so that you can see the targets a little bit better. So I think this is probably a little bit more of a narrower scope. It's not for everyday game. It's mostly for night games and indoor games where there's areas which are a little bit darker. You don't want to trip on anything, or you've got some enemies ahead of you. You want to engage them really quick. You want to blind them with a flashlight. I think that there's definitely a place for flashlights in terms of attachments in Airsoft. It can be useful, but again, I must say I've not used it many times outside of CQB and night games. Right, so this is my top 4, but I've got a couple of kind of, I don't know, mentions that I would like to do. And one of them is definitely an attachment can be something such as a stock, such as this one for the VFC MCX. As you can see, this attaches to a Picatinny rail. Some guns offer the option to attach a different stock. This one's really nice because it's got the raised cheek and it's shorter for CQB engagements. I think it's really nice. This is from Airsoft Artisan. So you can also attach a different stock to your gun, to again making it more ergonomic, more I would say aligned with the type of gameplay and the type of site that you're going to, and the type of engagements that you're going to do. So this is probably my honorable mention. And other than that, I would say the final one is bipods. Bipods can be quite useful. Depend mostly on, I would say, on the DMRs, and if you're doing suppression with, say, an LMG, I think that they can be quite useful if you're stationary, mainly if you're stationary. I'm going to be honest with you guys, I have not used it that much. I've bought this one to use on my DMR. I find myself more taking it off because it does weigh a little bit, and I barely use it, to be honest. But it can be if it's your play style where you really want to, you know, not talking about camping, but where you want to be stationary, when you want to be waiting for the enemy, and you want to have a stable position so you can engage them, then a bipod is definitely going to do the job for you there. So again, another very useful attachment if you want to do that kind of engagement. I mean, again, this only reflects my personal opinions, my experience within the sites I play and the guns I have. If you've got different opinions, if you have some attachments that I haven't covered, feel free to drop them in the description below. Just let me know, and I think it'll be great for everyone to get to know a little bit more of some attachments that are useful for Airsoft. Again, guys, thank you for watching. Operator 7, over and out.